This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so I have a table called dim customer table, in which I have a column called gender column, and I have one more table called sales. Okay, fact internet sales table, in which I have a column called sales amount values. Now I want to understand generally, say when I say gender, so it can be male or it can be female, either male or female. Okay, now I want to understand what is the total sales amount values for males. Say assume some value, and what is the total sales amount for females. So I want to generate and I want to display with a report, Power BI report. So this is a basic thing. We need to create a report. How to do that? So simply go and click on your Power BI desktop. Go and click on Power BI desktop. So my Power BI desktop is trying to log in. First, what I will do, I will try to connect to the data source. I'll try to pull some sample tables for report designing purpose. Okay. So this is my Power BI desktop. As I told you, Power BI has two things, two panes actually. Okay. It has two panes. What is the first one? First one is a Power BI designer, and second is called as Power Query Editor. Power Query Editor. Okay. So in Power BI Designer, what is the purpose of using Power BI Designer? Power BI Designer is a place where we are going to design the reports. So to design the reports. Okay. Now what about Power Query Editor or Edit Query Builder? Okay. To apply any transformations, we generally go for Power Query Editor. So Power BI has two panes. Power BI has two panes. One is Power BI Designer. The second one is Power Query Editor. Okay, right. So whatever you're able to see is a Power BI Designer. How can you say that this is a Power BI Designer? In the Designer, as I told you, Designer is a place where you are going to create a new dashboard, new reports. So wherever you're able to see visualizations template, so that is called as your Power BI designer. Okay, by making use of this visualization template, you're going to design the reports. Okay, so that is the reason this is called as a designer. Now, how to see, I mean, where to see your Power Query editor? Simply go to Edit Queries and click on Edit Query. So whatever the window that you're able to see is called as your Power Query Editor. So you have so many options. You have so many options. Okay. Now, what we'll try to do first? We'll try to import. See, these tables are present in my SQL Server. See, whatever the tables are there. Okay. See, fact internet sales table, sales amount table. These tables are present in SQL Server database. So now my data source is my SQL Server database. So what I have to do first, I have to connect to the data source. First I have to connect to the data source, then I have to select the required tables, then I have to import those tables into your Power BI desktop. How to do that? Okay, there is an option called get data option. Okay, get data option. So I just want to know what all the data sources that Power BI can support. So as I told you in the demo session that Power BI can support more than 100 plus data sources. So it can be Excel file, it can be CSV file, it can be TXT, it can be JSON, it can be XML, it can be SQL Server file, database file, or it can be Oracle, it can be MySQL, it can be anything. It can be anything. See, if you go and click more options, so these are all the different data sources which your Power BI can support. Which your Power BI can support. Okay. So you have Excel, you have text, CSV, XML, JSON, PDF, database file, see your SQL Server, analysis database, your SQL Oracle database, your SQL Server database. Yes. Right now we have SQL Server in my machine, and within the SQL Server also. Okay, let me connect to my SQL Server. Okay, how to connect to SQL Server? I'm going to connect my SQL Server database through a tool called SQL Server Management Studio. How to do that? Simply click on SQL Server Management Studio tool. It's opening. Just give me a minute. Initially, it will take some time to actually connect to SQL Server Management Studio, but once it is connected, it will not take much time to execute. So till now, whatever I've discussed, so are you clear, guys? Surya, Rupa,
Yes, sir.
okay, right. So this is my SQL Server Management Studio tool. Basically, SSMS is a tool to connect your SQL Server database. Okay, how to connect? So make sure your server type should be database engine. Your server type should be your database engine. Then this is your server name. Mostly server name is going to be your computer name. Okay, server name is going to be your computer name. So you can use either SQL authentication or Windows authentication, but right now I'm going for a Windows authentication mode. Okay, in Windows authentication mode, username password automatically will be taken care. Okay, now click on connect. Click on connect. Yes, the moment you have connected to the SQL Server Management Studio, now you're successfully able to connect your SQL Server database. So under this, whatever you're able to see, this is called AdventureWorks DW 2017. So what is that, Surya? And can you answer?
Sample database which we have.
Correct. So AdventureWorks is a sample database which has been provided by Microsoft for testing purpose. Okay, for practicing and testing purpose. Okay, under that particular database, if you extract and see, they have listed some good amount of tables which we have already created by Microsoft, not by us. Okay, so we are just making use of that particular tables. Right. Now my tables are in my SQL Server database. Okay. Now what I have to do, so I have to go to my Power BI desktop. I need to connect to the data source. I need to connect to the data source. How to do that? So simply go and click on get data, and since my source is SQL Server, you are going to select the source as SQL Server. Okay. So once you select the database server as SQL Server, so here you need to provide the SQL Server name. How to get the SQL Server name? So there are so many methods. Okay, you can come here and you can simply type a command called select at the rate at the rate see select at the rate server name and try to execute this. So this is going to be your SQL Server name. Okay, this is going to be your SQL Server name. How are you going to get this? By writing a select statement. This is one method. This is one method. And other method, simply there is a plug symbol over here. So click on this. So you'll be able to see the same server name of the SQL Server. You can come here. You can do copy paste and go back to your window and try to paste here. So the second option is database. It is optional. That means it's not a mandatory thing. If you're providing, fine. If you're not providing, that is also fine. So then click on OK. See, it is successful. It got successfully connected to your SQL Server database. How can you say confidently? Because this is the SQL Server database. Under this, AdventureWorks is a sample database, and two more other databases also is there. So that means you have successfully connected to your SQL Server database. Now, what is the next step? So the next step is you need to select the sample tables. Okay. So for my requirement, what is my requirement? I want to understand and analyze gender wise sales amount values. So just want to understand whether males are getting more sales amount or from females we are getting a more sales amount. So that we actually need to verify that. Okay. So to design that, but we need to verify in a pictorial representation, in a visualization wherein I can see the values of males sales amount and I can see the values of females sales amount. So how to do that? Simply go to the Power BI desktop. So my first table is coming from which table? My gender column is coming from which table? It is coming from dim customer table. So let me go and select. Okay. So let me go and select my dim customer table. So where is my dim customer table? Select dim customer table. Come little down. And what is your second table? Your sales amount column is present in which table? Fact internet sales table. Okay. Simply we are going to click on table called fact internet sales table. Right. Your selection is done. Okay. Simply click on load.
So one more question. How we will get to know like which table has what?
Uh, See, if you're talking about a training perspective, since we
Yeah.
are generally working on this, we will be able to know.
Okay. Hello.
That dim customer table is
Yeah.
having all customer related data. Okay. There is a all is going to be tracked under a fact internet sales table. Okay. But in real time projects, how are we going to understand that? So simply in real time projects, whichever the project that you're working on, so in the real time project you need to first understand the table structures and database and kind of schemas table. So those kind of relations that you need to understand in the initial stage by reading the documents and by anyway you'll be having a KT sessions, right, in the project. So based on the KT sessions and all, you need to first understand the structures of the tables. At least, suppose in dim customer tables, say you have say 30 columns or 40 columns. So it doesn't mean to understand the complete columns, what column is there and all. At least you should understand the high level information of that particular table, say dim customer table. So you need to verify the tables by connecting to the database, what kind of data that the people are trying to load, trying to store in that particular table. So those kind of high level information, at least you should understand that. Okay, so initial days you're going to just
Okay.
do a kind of R&D on the tables, on the structures, on the database level, at least high level. Okay, which table generally will, okay, there is a table called dim customer table. So after looking at that particular table, you'll be able to easily understand that this table is going to track all customer related informations. So it can be first name, last name, middle name, gender, yearly income, so something, different columns are there. So if you go and see, successfully I have imported two tables. I want to see the data of the particular table. So in the left hand side, you have three options. One is model option, second is data option, then third one is report. So right now we are in the report pane. Right now we are in the report pane. Okay, if you want to go and click data pane, you will be able to see the data for that particular table. Okay, so dim customer table is having all these columns. Okay, if you see, so by looking at the table and by looking at the data itself, we can easily understand that customer table is having customer information, so customer first name, customer last name, middle name, and date of birth, marital status, gender, email address. So which basically, if anybody can see, they can easily identify that, okay, dim customer table is trying to hold all customer related information. So in case in future any requirement which is coming related to customer information, obviously we will come back to the dim customer table and we will verify whether the requirement related column is present in the dim customer table or not. So if yes, so then we are going to utilize that particular tables column in our visualizations purpose. Is this clear, Surya?
Yes, sir. Clear.
Okay. Now, so once I have imported the data, tables data into the report window, then what is my next step is going to be? Okay. So my next step is going to be, I want to design a report, right? I want to design a report. So for that, I basically need some kind of template, any kind of basic template I want. So that kind of template that we are going to select now. Okay, so generally all templates like visualization templates is going to be captured under visualizations. Okay, so if you want to go back to the visualization window, so in the left hand side, right now it is enabled data pane. Okay, if you want to go back to report pane, so simply go and click on the report. So this is your report pane. Now if you want to create a small visualization, okay, for your requirement, what is your requirement? You want to understand, you want to create and understand gender wise sales amount values. Okay, so how to do that? Simply go to Power BI designer, try to select any sample template. So right now I'm selecting a template called clustered column chart. It's a sample visualization template. I'm just enlarging this, increasing the size of the visual. So now to design any report or to design any visualization, there are two things are required. So generally forget about visualization, forget about BI in normal. in our school days, or if you want to prepare any graphs, so generally we should have x-axis values, we should have y-axis values. So then only we can able to prepare the graphs, right? So like that, x-axis means here axis, y-axis means here value. Okay. Similarly, I have selected this particular visualization, and there is a option called fields option. For this visualization, what are the mandatory fields that we need to provide? So that is going to be captured under fields area. So click on fields area. So there is an option called axis. As I told you just now, axis means it is x-axis. There is an option called values. Values means it is y-axis. Axis means x-axis, values means y-axis. So there is again tooltips. Tooltip is also there. We are not going to use so many times on tooltip, but we mostly we are going to consider about what is going to be your x-axis value and what is going to be your y-axis value. There is something called legend. So legend is also, it's a kind of a breaking, it's a breaking point. Okay, we will discuss legend maybe later. Suppose I'm just trying to take a chart like say stacked column chart. For this also, these are the mandatory conditioned columns that we need to provide. Now, so x-axis, suppose I want to put gender on my x-axis column. So I know gender column is present in dim customer table. Here we have two methods. One is when you know which table, in which table the particular column is, simply go to that particular table, expand that particular table, try to search for that particular column within the table and select the column, drag and drop that column onto the reports. That is method 1. Select the table, expand the table, try to select that particular gender column, select that, drag and drop under x-axis. This is method 1. When you know the table name in which the column is present. Suppose if you don't know the column is present in which table, okay, but you have imported say 10 to 15 tables into your Power BI desktop. Now, what is the alternative? Simply, they have given who has given Power BI has given a mechanism of searching for a global search. Okay, even if you don't know the full name of the column, if you simply you can go and here simply just try to type gender. So just simply say GEN. So whatever the column in which the table, the column is present in the table is going to be present. Simply by selecting and by searching and selecting and dragging and dropping into the x-axis areas you can do. So this is a method 2. So method 1, you can expand, you can select the column, you can drag and drop the column to the report x-axis values, or you can use the global search technique to select the column and drag and drop the column into the corresponding areas, say x-axis. So now I have taken the consideration for x-axis. Now I want to see y-axis value. So I want to see on my y-axis sales amount. So I'm actually going for the second method. So I know sales amount is present in fact internet sales table. Options are, you need to expand this particular table, you need to search for that particular column. So instead of wasting of time, simply I will say I will try to use global search option by typing yes sales. Okay, sales. See, that column is present under fact internet sales table. I'm going to select this particular column and I'm going to drag and drop that particular column under values. Done. my report is created. So I want to see whether the report is correct or not. See, I'm able to see mail. Okay, okay. For now, I'll just try to do some kind of basic formatting. Any formatting related stuff we have to do in the format options area. Okay, click on this. So I'm just trying to, I have my title is there. Even title has been given by whom? Your Power BI desktop itself will give the title based on your x-axis and y-axis value criteria. Okay, suppose if I want to align my title in the middle and I want to increase the size of the title, yes, you can increase. You can even change the color of the title. Okay, sales amount by gender. Did I created any title for this particular report? No, but who has given this title? Your Power BI desktop will give the title for this particular report based on your x-axis and y-axis values considerations. Now I want to see when I mouse over on the particular items, I am able to see for female the sales amounts values are say 14 billion amount, $14 billion. So for males it is having 14 billion, again 14 billion change, almost similar. But if you see, I think females are getting more sales amount values. Okay, 14 comma 813, but here if you have 14 comma 543. Okay, I think females are getting more sales amount. So by looking at the visual only, I'll be able to understand this particular thing. Right, right. So now I want to see the result. When I highlight or mouse over on the particular visualization, I'm able to see the values. But I don't want in that way. My client will expect whether you mouse over or not, that is doesn't matter, but it has to display on the report itself. So there is an option called data labels option. By default it is off. You need to enable this. See, the moment you enable this, you will be able to see the data for this particular. See, for females it is having 14.8 million. For males it is having 14.5 million. But if you see here, you're not getting the exact value, exact sales amount. It is something called, it is rounding it, it is displaying. See, if you see, suppose I want to just try to increase the size of the data. So again go to the data area. Okay, so try to increase the size. Yes, suppose if you mouse over, you will be able to see 14 million, but you want to see the exact value even on the report. So how to do that? Simply go to here itself. So there is an option called display units. By default, display units is auto. You need to make this as from auto to none. See, the moment if you click on none, even if you want to give some proper coloring for this, you can give. Okay, so the moment if you click on none, see, now try to compare, you'll be able to see the exact value result. So till now whatever I've implemented, so is this clear, Rupa and Surya? Any
Yeah,
questions?
clear, sir.
Okay, good. So now suppose I want to what are the formats you can do? Suppose if you want to go to x-axis, I'm not able to see my x-axis values, so try to increase the size of the x-axis. You can also increase the size of the y-axis. You can give some proper coloring for that if you want. Anything kind you can see. Anyway, the formattings, everything we are going to discuss under visualization topics, so in detail of that. But here my intention, see, if you see, the title has been already given by Power BI desktop. It is not something given by you, it has been given by Power BI desktop. Okay, so now mm, so that is a point here. Now what is the next thing? See, yes, you have created this particular report. This report is present in your local machine. after creating any report, obviously you are going to send this particular report to your next level authorities, say your team lead or project lead or sometimes manager. Okay, so now, so before going to send any reports to anybody else, we are going to, as a Power BI developer or as a Power BI architect, we are going to do some basic kind of testing or basic kind of validations to check whether the result is correct or not. To check whether the result is correct or not. So for female, I'm getting some 14.8 million dollars. For male, I'm getting from 14.545 million dollars. But whatever the values that I'm able to see, so is that the correct values or not? I am going to validate that. But how are we going to validate that? So that is a question here. Okay. So to validate this, so what is the source for this particular report? Data source for this particular report, Surya?
For what, sir? I mean, for the vendor or
No, no, I'm asking. So you have designed the report, right? So
yes, sir.
to design this particular report, you're getting some data. So you're getting the data source or data from which place?
SQL.
Correct.
SQL, sir.
SQL Server database. Okay. So SQL
Correct.
Server. So now you have to go back to your SQL Server. This is your SQL Server. Now you need to verify whether the data is correct or not here in your SQL Server. Okay. Okay. How to verify that? Okay. How to verify that? Mm, say, okay. Right now, straight away, I will write a query and I will try to validate it. But in the real time, I mean, I'll straight away explain because from tomorrow onwards, I'm going to start for next 4 sessions to 5 sessions on basic DB. Okay, basic DB, which requires to learn any BI developer, no matter it is a Tableau or Tab Power BI or ClickView, ClickSense or anything, but anyone should have that particular kind of DB knowledge. Okay, so for now, I'm trying to write a query. Okay, don't confuse. Okay, anyway, I'm going to explain from DB from tomorrow onwards. Okay, so I have something called a dim customer table, comma. I have table called fact internet sales table. I'm trying to join these two tables with customer key. I want in my output, I want C dot gender column, comma, I want sum of F dot sales amount column. I'm going to give this as a total underscore sales amount. Okay, group by C dot gender. Done. My query is ready now. See, if I'm executing this, I'm able to get some result. So I'm just trying to validate this whether whatever the result is present, whatever the data is present in the source, is that the data is matching to the report value or not. So if you see for female, what is the value? It is 14,813,618. So go back to here. So 14,813,618 dot 6752 dot 6752 per female 14,545,048 14,545,048 dot 545. So that means my report is absolutely correct and I can save this particular report and I can send this report to my next level authorities. So this is this clear, Surya, Rupa?
Yes, sir.
So did you understand this code? Are you clear with
No,
this
sir.
code? Yes,
Yeah,
I'm here to
yes.
help. I'm here to help you. Don't worry.
Yeah.
From tomorrow onwards, we are going to discuss on DB related activities. Okay. What about you, Rupa? So did you understand the code, whatever I've written in the select statement? Okay, no problem. I'm here to help you in detail core concepts of DB also, which we are going to start from tomorrow onwards. Okay, it is going to be 4 to 5 sessions. It depends if we are able to complete within 4 sessions. That should be fine. Otherwise, I'm going to extend it to one or more session. Okay, so that is a kind of plan that we are following for this course. Okay, don't worry. I'm here to help you out how to understand this code, but try to understand the importance of DB. Try to understand the importance of the DB. See, DB is very important because whatever the report that you have generated, is this the report is correct report or not? How are you going to validate it? Where are you going to validate it? Since your source for this particular report is SQL Server, obviously you have to check the source data. So what is the data is there in the source for this particular requirement? We are going to validate that by writing a select statement. So on the reports, it has to reflect the same kind of data onto the reports. Now you understood the importance of the DB, Surya.
Right, sir. Right, sir.
So that is very important, not only for a particular person. Any BI developer should have, must and should have DB knowledge. Without having a DB knowledge, it is really tough for him to survive in the market. Even even in the projects, who is going to be the key resource means people who has a strong database command, that person is going to be treated as a key resource. Okay, so you should have some kind of key concept and core concepts from DB. So I'm here to help you out in core concepts since I have almost 16 plus years of experience in different I have worked on SQL Server, I have worked on Oracle, SQL, PL SQL, and I worked on Power BI reports, OBI reports. Okay, I'm going to give my entire experience to my students. Okay, so from DB we are going to
Thank
start
you,
from
sir.
tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow onwards. Okay, right. So once we completed the DB, again we'll come back to the Power BI sessions and we'll try to perform the uh, reports and all. Okay, but because the reason is you need to understand the basic concepts of DB. See, if I want to validate this particular report, I'm just trying to type some select statement and I'm executing and I'm validating whether the whatever the source result is correct or not in the reports. So you should at least have some knowledge on how to validate, how to validate. Okay, so that is something, if you know DB concepts, then only you'll be able to understand. So clear?
Yeah, clear, sir.
Okay. See, if you see here, try to understand here. As a Power BI developer, as a Power BI architect, are we going to write even one single line of coding for this particular report? Did I write any single line code of for this report to design? I haven't written any code.
No, sir.
Simply what I did, step one. Okay, simply what I did, step one. I have connected to my data source as SQL Server. Step two. Once I connected to this data source of SQL Server, I have selected the list of tables which requires to satisfy my requirement. Step 3. I have imported those tables to my Power BI desktop. Step 4. I have taken one sample report template for implementation purpose. Step 5. I have provided x-axis and y-axis values to the particular report. and your report is ready. After that, I did some kind of basic modifications in terms of increasing the label size, giving some proper coloring for the data colors and labels. So those kind of format related changes that I have applied. But overall, if you see how simple it is in Power BI to create a reporting, it is very simple. Okay. Who has written the existing logic? Your Power BI desktop itself will try to write the logic for this particular report. You are not going to responsible for that, but you are going to responsible for validating the result. So for that purpose also, you need to have some basic knowledge on TV. See, you are not responsible for writing the code in Power BI, but whatever the result is there, whatever the value is there, is that the correct value or not? So for that also, you need to validate. Okay. So
Yes,
that's
sir.
all till now. So any questions, Surya, Rupa,
No,
Surya?
sir.
So you're good
All
to
clear,
go
Tim.
with Power BI?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what I request you try to practice today, whatever the example that we have.